Greetings, everyone. It's Angelo Robles. 111 questions to ask before you move forward on AI. And without further ado, shall we begin? 111, it's very specific questions. Every institution that gets AI wrong finds out. The startup finds out in at most 18 months because the market tells them. The public company finds out in 90 days. Somebody has to explain it on a call. You, in private industries, the family office world, may never find out. You can fund a mediocre AI program for a decade, staff it, praise it at the family meeting, put it on a slide every March. Nothing external will ever contradict you. Scarcity is forcing function, and you don't have scarcity. So the discipline has to be manufactured, and manufactured discipline needs to have exactly two things: a number nobody could argue with, and a person whose name is on it. Everything else is theater that looks like rigor. That's why I don't write a book of answers. Answers expire. Every confident answer from AI from 18 months ago is almost already gone. Questions don't move. So that's why I wrote 111 of them. Here are some, not all. I'll tell you why at the end. Okay, let's go. What is the business of this family office? Not the services, the business. Most family offices never said it out loud because the principal is in the room and the answer might be uncomfortable. You also have to consider another. If we rebuilt, it's one of my favorite questions to ask in my consulting assignments. If we rebuilt this family office from scratch today, what would we never build effectively in this way again? That's the way to phrase it. Everything you wouldn't rebuild is something you're currently paying to maintain. The question reorders the budget, sure, the vendor list, the org chart kind of in an afternoon, which is exactly why it never gets asked. Let's continue. Which of the 6 dimensions is actually deficit? Decision quality, execution speed, strength of people, clarity of purpose, adaptability of systems, family capability. Name the one. If you can't name it, you're not really solving a problem, you're shopping. If AI works exactly as promised, what does this office stop doing? If the answer is nothing, you really brought activity. Activity was never the product. Is the constraint intelligence? Or is the constraint that nobody has the authority to decide? In most family offices, it's really the second, to be honest with you. No model ever built has fixed a governance vacuum. As much as I love AI, no model ever built has ever fixed a governance vacuum. You'll just get faster and you'll probably have better informed. Let's go with paralysis. Okay, sovereignty, another sub-subject. Where does your most sensitive intelligence physically live, and who else can reach it? Name the hardware, name the jurisdiction, name the human beings with production access. If you can't, you don't have a sovereignty posture, you have a preference. Has anyone, another question, read your vendor's retention terms on your own account? Ooh, not the marketing page. The model doesn't carry the policy. The product does, and the tier you're logged into isn't the tier like in their sales deck. Another, which of your advisors is running all your information through their AI tools and under whose terms? Your perimeter is, well, it's not really your perimeter. The most common breach isn't a hack, It's a trusted professional being casual with your intelligence, proprietary data, often on infrastructure that you probably don't completely understand, or I would argue, even approved. Okay, we're going to pound through. We're going to overall do about 30 of these. Is anyone in this family, the questions you all need to be asking? Again, 111 questions to ask before you even implement AI in your entity or family office. So, and I could probably do 200 plus, and we're going to go through about 30 here. We're probably a third through. Is anyone in this family pasting your information into consumer tools, like the teenager's homework and the chief investment officer's shortcut are the same leak with kind of different excuses? Under whose law does your compute sit? You already think this way about entities. Why don't you start to think this way about compute? We'll move on to corpus as a subject. The only thing you own that really nobody could buy. What happens to 30 years of judgment when the person carrying it is gone? He or she knows why the 1997 trust reads the way it does. Let's assume he retires in 3 years. It gets encoded while he's alive, or it's lost, and there's no market to rehire it from at any price. Any price. Do you capture the argument or only the verdict? Minutes were recorded that was decided. The judgment lives in what was almost decided instead, and why it wasn't. These are the things that you really have to think through. Do you keep your refusal record? Every deal passed, every manager declined, and why? The no's never appear in the portfolio. That's why they're the first wisdom lost and the most expensive for your finance company, your family office, foundation, whatever, to relearn. Now, I know I'm going to use a very AI term here, and you better learn it, because this is maybe about the main thing that can make you awesome in AI. Second brain. So not here to teach that. I got a little short video upcoming this weekend where we'll do that. And my books, all things we'll get to at the end. But whose second brain is this? The family offices or 11 private ones? Every executive you have is building, whether they really know it or not, a personal system right now. They have their notes, even, let's go with the word of their prompts, their judgment for sure. All of it may be compounding beautifully. All of it leaving with them. Another. Is this corpus an advantage you're compounding or a shared drive you're neglecting? No fund can buy it. No peer can replicate it. Everything else on the list is really table stakes. This one is yours, and I think you're wasting it. Let's get into when the machine acts. What is your first workflow that runs without a human starting it? Name it. If there isn't one, you're AI literate, not AI enabled. I don't care what kind of the deck says. Anything that reads the outside world is a manipulation surface. Is it isolated from anything that can act? An agent that reads an attacker's email can also move money. That's not a system. It's a loaded weapon aimed effectively at your balance sheet. And you're falling asleep on that. What's the blast radius of the worst possible agent action? Not the likely failure, the worst one. Bound it with the same primitives to a degree that you would also use against a wire fraud, because it's the same problem with a new author. Who runs this? Are you thinking this at 2 a.m? Name them. If the name is a vendor, you rented your so-called sovereignty at CapEx prices. The measurement, where the whole industry stops really making eye contact. Do you have a golden set? 100 real decisions this family has made and still trust. Without it, there's no baseline, no benchmark, and no honest answer to whether any of this actually works. When an agent does 8 hours of work, who does or how does a human verify it in 8 minutes? If it saves 4 hours and checking it takes 5, well, you built a negative. The demo only ever shows really the first half. Which of the 6 dimensions I mentioned earlier did this move? And could you demonstrate it? Show the before, but like show the after? It feels faster is a feeling. That's not quantifiable and it's not a result. What did the spend delete? If the spend rose and nothing came off your plate, no retainer was renegotiated, no cycle time fell, you didn't buy capability. You brought a habit. Does anyone own a number by name on schedule in front of you? A metric with no owner only shows up when it flatters. Then people, a really important one here, where every one of these programs actually kind of really, I feel like it goes to die. So who owns AI here? By name, with authority and budget. If the answer is the COO, on top of compliance, like, I don't know, the aircraft, the K-1s, your mother's estate, you've already decided without even knowing that you decided to fail. You just really haven't scheduled it. What do you do? This is not an easy one. That's why it's 111 questions. And no, we're not sharing all 111. What do you do about the person who cannot learn this but has been loyal for 22 years? Decide now in advance and on purpose. Real retraining with real patience, or a dignified exit with real money. What you may not do is let them fail slowly, kind of in public, while everyone else in the office watches. And what does your operating model look like now? Not the org's, yours. If an analyst produces in an afternoon what took 3 weeks, then your review cadence changed, your meeting structure changed, your definition of a good hire for sure changed. And none of them have. The principal who redesigns everyone's work except his or her own has announced really that the program is optional. This gets read, trust me, by people organically, instantly, and very much correctly. Now, as we take it to the home stretch to hit our 30 that I'm going to share, the family. Does the family get access? These are the questions you need to be asking, or only the family office. That one question determines really the architecture. Answer it first or rebuild everything the day that someone asks another. What happens the first time a family member asks the system, about another family member? It'll happen inside the first month. Decide now, because deciding afterwards is called taking sides. Is the rising generation learning to command this, or waiting to inherit something that they don't understand? You're doomed if that's the case. Heirs who can redirect the architecture inherit an institution. Heirs who can't inherit a story, well, they inherit a story about one. Do not assume, first of all, principals could be in their 80s with leading heirs in their 50s. So you can't always go by age. But let's even bring that age down. Do not assume that your heirs, because they're younger, are going to be AI savvy. They're not really learning it in school. Actually, they may even be learning the opposite of it and things that will be a negative to them. Now, I don't want to get too much into institutions, their biases, their challenges, and how the educational system needs a major overhaul. But I know from working with families for decades and very active with AI broadly the last 2 years and doing this around the world, they're likely to be somewhat more open to being tech savvy. They're a little more fluid in learning, to assume that somehow they're very AI capable, like 2%. Like, they're not. Do not assume or make that assumption. Then typing in a sentence in ChatGPT and not really understanding how to build, how to create, is not them understanding AI. You get people like Ken Griffin, one of the 20th richest people in the world, incredibly intelligent, beyond successful in finance and hedge funds, stating a year ago didn't quite get this AI stuff and is it a little bit of nonsense? And then coming out publicly 3 or 4 months ago that he's shocked at the capability of it and what the agents internally are doing that often took PhDs months. It's doing in days. I have the quote. I got everything on it. He stated it, and so many other prominent people. Get your head out of the sand, of course. What did you think I was going to say? And wake up to the reality here. Do not let ego and fear and resistance get in the way, because that is not going to stop this train. It will never be weaker than it is today. And I'm telling you, from someone who lives and breathes this in the world of family offices and finance daily, the last 3 to 4 weeks have been shocking. I left off my last masterclass June 23rd and 24th, and so much has changed since then. I've had a revamp among the 500 plus pages in my 2 books on AI integration, really about half the books from just the last 3 weeks. Some of my PowerPoints, presentations, these questions, over 500 pages that I described, and the curriculum for my masterclass has been utterly rocked in simply the last couple of weeks. Now, if you got the right mindset, you're already building and you're compounding your knowledge. It's far, far easier for you to adapt than you keep on waiting. So I will actually get to some final shared questions and then a close, like the verdict. What is, and I hinted at this, what is the cost of a year? Capability compounds. Deliberation isn't neutral. It's a compounding loss. And you, of all people, know what a year of compounding cost. Question: does this architecture survive the principal's death? Continuity isn't just a legal document anymore. It's whether the family office still operates with full intelligence on day 1 of the worst week in the family's history. And 10 years out, does the family have more capability or a more sophisticated dependency? Understand the cruelty in that one. The family that answers wrong looks identical to the family that answers right, maybe for 8 of those 10 years. Same dashboards, same so-called confident deck, same vendor at the table, saying the same reassuring things. And then something real happens, and one of those 2 families can actually think. So that's 30 of my questions. There's 81 more. I'm not like really reading them to you, not because they're secret, they're printed, and every one of my members has them. I'm not reading them because reading the hard question is pleasant. Sure, it feels like progress. It costs nothing. Answering one out loud in a room with your team listening, with your name on the number, That's the hard part. And that's in some ways really the only part. All 111 are in my AI native single family office book, one of my two books that my members of my private community, SFO Continuity, receive among their many benefits over the course of a year. The next masterclass I'm hosting is still this summer, August 12th and 13th in New York, immersive and in person. You're either going to be sovereign or obsolete. We're not going to evaluate AI. That conversation is over. The family's still having that. Like, oh, like they have a problem. So imagine 2 days, these questions and so much more answered out loud. So I might have left off with many of you heading into the early summer that around the corner, June 23rd, June 24th, my AI masterclass in New York. Access to me, my faculty, my two books, other resources. That's only been 3 weeks. By the way, that masterclass was jam-packed, too big, about 21, 22 people, but we got it done. The one I'm doing in August, we're limiting to 10 to 12. We want the intimacy, the roundtable, the faculty to go around and help you build the breakouts. I actually learned so much from that masterclass, and so much has evolved in the last 3 weeks. Look at what's going on with Anthropic and Fable 5, with the US government, with Opus 5.6. Grok, now their 4.5 is actually pretty incredible. And shockingly, Meta is back in the game. Look at what advanced with Cursor and Bolt. Look at some of the harnesses. Look at the adaptations to Hermes. Look at even what Perplexity Computer has been up to. Look at the greater fight that has happened, and we heard it some through David Sachs and Alex Karp, with frontier models that you don't own and sovereign models that you own and control, that you don't want to bleed your information to the cloud. So much more we learned about a variety of different systems. So yes, since June 23rd and 24th, a lot has changed. I hope to see some families back yet again, August 12th and 13th. We had a family that attended last year, my first one in June. His first name is Jonathan. And he was relatively pretty rudimentary at that stage. He took this and ran with it. He attended others. He absorbed the books. He put in the work. He's probably more fluid than me at this moment, at least in certain, but a fair number of tasks and things you could do utilizing the AI, and it's saving him so much, so much. We saw him again in June. He's basically ready to be a special speaker and instructor. And that's the other unique thing about my in-person immersive AI masterclasses. I have incredible faculty. I try more to quarterback things, to help the conversation going, to share some of what I do, and to go back and forth with some of the instructors and make the room be active. But I have people that are real principals, real rising gen, real executives. We also bring in 1 or 2 executives that often attended a prior masterclass and now are doing something incredible with AI. What one of them was doing with OpenClaw and Hermes and how they were evolving agents, what we showed using Anthropic's dynamic workflows and creating hundreds of agents effectively in minutes. Let's ignore the cost for a second. Like, wow. So having real people, real pure executives in finance, and more importantly, the single family office industry, and having them be there as members who are paying, as often prior masterclass participants, and wanting to give back and come into New York and share what they're doing. Now, the core instructors are living and breathing it 24/7, but to hear from people like you in finance, in the family office industry, to here's how this was of value to them, and here's the actions that they took. So where I let off in that one in June was, I get it. I want to relax, some 3-day weekends, some summertime off, and I'm having a good time. But why did Sergey Brin come back to Google? He's worth $230 billion because this is a special time in history right now. Right now. And no, you taking off for 2.5 months, it's crazy. You have a chance for something special inside your family. You have a chance in finance, entrepreneurship, or an executive to assure what you're going to do for years to come, to be the top 1% at what you're doing. And you're going to let that slip because of a societal thing that we need to take time off. Now, you could say I'm type A, I'm very American, a capitalist, go for it. Like, you need to be that way this summer. So yes, I'm prodding you, I'm pushing you, even if you're a billionaire. It was good enough for Sergey to come back. He's probably worth more than you at, I don't know, 230 billion. And I pride myself on speaking up out loud. You may not like what I say, but I'm not here to kiss butt. This is a time for you, partially because the world of finance and especially the single family office community is embarrassingly behind when it comes to AI. Oh, there's so many factors for that. And yes, one part of it, and we heard the Moonshots guys talk about it from Fortune 500 company perspective, a popular podcast, by the way, it is internal sabotage to a degree. You don't want it to succeed. In the end, the tech is always going to win. There may be regulatory issues and adaptation that slow it down. It can't stop it. I'm not even saying whether I like that or prefer that. I want to roll back the clock to when I was growing up in the late 60s and 70s. But that's not going to make that happen. I need to adapt in today's world with the resources that I have. I owe it to myself and my family to be the best that I could be. And the resources that are here right now, that I could get the mindset and I could start to compound right this second. So yes, that is what membership in my SFO continuity, my private intelligence and strategy community dedicated to the family office world, what it provides. And this summer, no, you shouldn't wait until the end of the summer in October. Now is the time. You're going to get access to all our resources, my 2 books, massive updates. I'm wrapping up those updates literally in 24 to 48 hours. Proprietary videos. Next week, I'm hosting a whole bunch of proprietary digital online unique programming for members. The whole 111 questions that I teased at with about 30 today. So you lead into August having all these resources. My 2 books collectively, without question, are the most comprehensive, maybe too comprehensive, and most up-to-date from literally last night. Because I update these, I feel 3 weeks is not enough anymore. I may have to start to do it every 10 days. That's how quickly things are changing. And you get every update that I make. So you get an edge leading into August 12th or 13th. You're not coming in cold. You get a warm-up and then some. And then being immersed with the quality of people. I didn't even mention your peers. The peers that were there in June were incredible from around the world, from Germany and other locations. And then we connect them in a group and they collaborate and help learn. Like, you could lead into August 12th and 13th having such an advantage and then come out of that and just put in some of the time and work and some of the hand-holding from me and some faculty. Just use us, ask us. And then imagine by the unofficial end of the summer, Labor Day here in the US, or more formally, 3rd week into September, you're going to have such an edge. I'm not going to say it's going to be impossible for others to catch up to you. But the reality is, yeah, because they're not going to do it. They're not going to have the resources, the 500 plus hours that I put in, the money that I spent, the mistakes that I made, the mistakes that I still make. And that I want to, and one of the reasons why for the 111 questions, things that I should have asked myself in relationships I worked with before I even started. When I speak digitally and in person around the world to some of the largest family office and investors, On the surface, there's interest. I may wake them up. I may have a startling comment, but them moving forward, the resistance to change is so strong, especially inside the family office world. You won't win. You may be okay for a week or month, maybe to the end of the year, especially if you're the non-family member. What's wrong with you? This is your opportunity. And you get it immersed over 12 months and the constant updates I'm making to my books in AI. And much more than that, my creating a top 1% 700 page on the family office industry and how to build non-really AI focused, my family office playbook, my billionaire mastermind, all the programs that we do around structuring, around taxes, geopolitical issues, my sovereign wealth and disaster preparedness. I still need a little more time for that to get that right by the end of the summer and get that out. But AI is a strong anchor because it's going to move the needle by far the most, actually, including in all those topics that I just noted. The edge that you'll get from an investing perspective, it could be incredible. So I do get passionate when I talk about what I'm doing. And some of you would say, if I'm speaking to a group of 20, 50, or 90, is it only like 2% that kind of really follow up? I didn't even say follow through, just kind of follow up. Like, yeah, the benchmark in the family office community, it is so low. I don't know, age, resistance, fear, ego. We want to keep things the way they are. Shh, be quiet. Stop talking about this. And I understand normal human emotions. And I think many of you are so awesome, by the way, and so talented. I just want to put the right tools, the right resources, and adapt some things in what you're doing in this part of the community. And what I'm talking about in AI, again, will never be worse than it is today. In the end, it's always going to win, always. And I want you to be a part of it, to be a top user, which is such a low benchmark within the family office world. So yes, you should go to angelorobles.com. You should become a member. It's easy. It's a membership tab. You join. I have info about 2 upcoming forums, obviously about the August 12th and 13th masterclass. You get all of that. It's all inclusive. There's no upcharging. My 4 days in Palm Beach, March 8th through 11th, inclusive. New York in September, inclusive. Dinners and programs I host, Vienna, Mexico City, New York, Miami, LA around Milken, all inclusive. Multiple masterclasses. You want to come multiple times, which you should. It's all in there. It's built in. There's no additional upcharge. Some of you will then reach out to me to some consulting, usually around creating or restructuring a family office or satellite family office. Then yes, that becomes a consultative relationship. I'll let you know when we reach that stage. But I try to give you as much as I could, all inclusive into membership. And yes, I've laid this out before. I think it's pretty obvious from my books, my content. I am by far the most active, hands-on leader with an AI and AI integration for family offices. There's probably 99 things I kind of suck at and don't do that good. But the areas that I know, creating a family office, what makes them successful, geopolitics, macroeconomics, and investing, but I have other competitors for that who are good. I mean, maybe I'm a little better, but they're good. I don't really have that in AI integration for family offices. I have zero conflicts relative to this. I'm an allocator myself. I'm doing the things that my books talk about, from creating apps that I use to creating sometimes hundreds of agents, and not all on just frontier platforms where I could bleed my IP. I have the hardware and I'm building sovereign on open weight models as well, integrating and doing both. I am living through what I'm talking about. And like I said earlier, make mistakes all the time. Hopefully I don't repeat them. I learn from them and I share those experiences with my members inclusive in some proprietary content and videos, even in my books, and obviously in person multiple times a year, including at the masterclass. The next one, August 12th and 13th. You don't have to keep on resting, ignoring this, when this summer you could get such an edge on really probably like 99.8% of your peers by the end of the summer. If you are not a principal, a rising gen, or a family office executive, I'll have one seat in the masterclass for someone else. It may be legal, accounting, finance. It happened the one in June. You'll reach out to me and we'll have a customized price. You can't join to be a member, but you could pay a price that we'll discuss one-on-one to be that one person from the other in the group that gives you an incredible edge. I guarantee that. I guarantee it. I've been doing enough of these to see the success of it, to see some rise above me in capability, and for the target of what they're doing even be a better teacher, and they're living through what you're doing. Everyone, I'm Angelo Robles. I hope you enjoyed this. Go to angelorobles.com to learn more. If you didn't watch my interview last week with maybe the world's greatest macro thinker, Jordy Fisher, and my, whatever it was, a hell of a lot of questions to him, that's up on my @family office. You could go there on YouTube. I have some member-only proprietary content upcoming next week. A masterclass is around the corner, as many of you know. And before the masterclass, the one and only, one of the most popular guests, and he has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers on X, 53 years being a macro strategist and investor, David Hunter. He's coming back. And you know, I don't mind to get a little bit interesting with my guest, to ask them questions that can make them uncomfortable. And sometimes they yell back at me their answer. That's okay. I want to get the best results for you. We have other incredible guests, like I've been doing for much of the last year, lots of solo content on many different topics, more than just AI. Go through and peruse my platforms, mainly @family office on YouTube. But importantly, I wanted to share these new things in my 111 questions to ask before you move forward. I'll admit that, before you move forward on AI. And as a member with this as separate content, as well as part of my book, and discussed at my events, including my September forum, and definitely my masterclass, August 12th and 13th in New York, I could change your life. And it doesn't matter. Again, look at Sergey Brin, worth $200 billion, and he's all in and completely diving into what they're doing, whatever you want to call it, Gemini, Google, Alphabet. Okay, maybe he's doing a couple of incredible weekends in the Hamptons or enjoying some jaunts around the world. But you could do it. Now is the time. Let's see. No, I definitely disagree with you. Captain Homer, it may be. He writes, AI is not intelligent. It is psychotic, just like its rulers. Like, that is such, one, you're wrong. You're really playing the victim mentality. It's rulers. What? Because they're rich, that they built something, they take their skill, they convert it to a utility, and they really can't be rich unless people are buying it. They're incredibly successful, more successful than I'll ever be. They're way better. Want to use the word entrepreneurs, industrialists, etc. Way better. I know me and Jordy last week were tapping a little bit on Michael Burry and Jeremy Grantham. Incredible talents. I love to listen to them. And absolutely, I'm sure they're right more than they're wrong. And when they're right, they're really right. But they're, especially Grantham, is so wrong about this in AI. I just shared with you Ken Griffin. I shared with you, or my audience, when I came back from the Milken, how two 80-year-old private equity, well over 80, private equity legends were using AI 2 hours plus a day. What I'm creating using the most advanced AI and what I'm building internally, and the apps and the agents that I'm able to do and the output that I'm able to output, like that attitude that you're having, you are completely wrong. And it's feeling from across the screen like a little bit of a victim mentality. Don't judge yourself against others. We all, billions of people are better looking than me, taller than me. Millions are way more successful, depending on how you define that, by money. I don't let that get in the way. I want to be the best version of myself. And right now, I'm not that. I don't know, somewhere in this multi-universe of billions of universes, there may be a version of me that is, and I want to strive to be the best that I could be. Now, yes, I'm very driven, and maybe that's just internal to me, to my challenges in my upbringing and broken home and some of the challenges that I had. But I don't want to bog all of you down in that. I just love what I do. I love it. And I want you to come on board and be a part of it. Do you want to be like Captain Homer, who may be a great guy? I don't know. But is that going to serve you well, that attitude? It's not. Even if he's partially right, it's not. And you're just going to think that this is never going to be anything. Look what it's doing on benchmarks. IQ is a limited form, but maybe the most important limited form of intelligence. It's blowing through 140 IQ already. Oh, we could argue about real world and how it's going to adapt, and what's going on with other forms of AI besides LLMs they're building. Not the time necessarily to discuss that, but the people that put caps on it, that limit it, the ceiling, they appear to be getting blown out of the water by very simply what we have at our fingertips right now, let alone what that may look like in a week, 6 months, or a year. So bring it on. I don't mind the hate. I don't mind the tough questions. And again, I do debates. I did a debate at my Palm Beach event, I think around a former military person, where I ended up losing. Especially that was 4 months ago, looking at the facts now, it was relative to the US and Iran. I guess I lost. Like a good poker player that I do enjoy, I need to adapt. I want to be very careful about no anchoring and about echo chambers. I'm human. I make those mistakes all the time. I want to become even more aware of it and make the right decisions for me and my family moving forward. Okay, we got a little off topic today, but I don't mind that. Go to angelorobles.com and learn more. Everyone, thank you for your time. And yes, Captain Homer, keep it coming. Thank you for your question. I do appreciate it. Everyone, have a great day.